Yeah, thank you, Dan, for the invitation. Um, I'm going to try to make sure I talk slow. I tend to talk very fast, so this will be a good exercise for me. And I'm going to try to be brief as well. And first of all, I really feel like I want to say thank you to everyone for speaking English. I know a lot of people aren't, it's not their first language, but if we didn't have that commonality, I wouldn't be able to be here. So, because I don't speak any other languages very well. So I really want to say thank you and name that in this space, that it's really a beautiful thing that there can be a language that can help us in these times be able to communicate a little bit. So thank you everyone for listening and having patience if it's hard to understand some of us native English speakers. I'm part of a collective of 6 core teammates. We're obviously part of other networks and larger tribes of different scales, but we have a little core team of 6 people. And I like to say we've been doing research and design and development and embodiment of spirit-motivated social action and socio-technologies. And this is for taking co-creation to a planetary scale. So for us, co-creation is a very distinctive thing, a very specific thing. A lot of people use the word co-creation around the world. And you can even look up co-creation and find it on Wikipedia. And it talks about business and how businesses co-create with their clients and the consumers. So we're talking about something different. And we've studied a little bit with some visionaries and pioneers from the past. One of them being Barbara Marx Hubbard, who was a channel for co-creation and conscious evolution going back 40 years or so, and some of her colleagues and peers. And co-creation, as all of you are familiar with, so I'm talking to the tribe here, or speaking to the choir, they say in English, speaking to your people. Co-creation is really about all win. It's not just about win-win, where 2 entities win, but a lot of other entities lose. So co-creation for us is about all win. It's what Buckminster Fuller, the famous American visionary, once said: we're trying to make the world and work for 100% of life. He said 100% of humanity, but we're going to raise that up to 100% of life, all beings and all consciousness, not just humanity. So we are whole systems designers by nature, like architects. We have many skills. We have an alpha software platform that we built that is just in the background right now. We've spent most of our time living and trying to understand what it means to co-create, what it means to share intellectual property and resources and to make choices together, and all of the things that get in the way of that: personal wounding, collective alchemy, doing alchemy together in small groups and larger. And how could that scale? How can we have a fractal nature, to the planetary level organization? And I like to say what we're building is something beyond a decentralized autonomous organization. Some of you might be familiar with that. They're very popular now, DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. What we're looking to design is a UFO, which stands for a united fractal organism. So how can all of us as a planetary superorganism co-create together without losing the autonomy and the unique self-expression that we all have as individuals, as cultures, as not nations maybe, but as individual souls here to do something. We're not interested in creating an umbrella type of organization or everyone fitting together, but it's how can we act as a super organism. So we have a blueprint for that, a version 1.0 blueprint we're working on that has the many elements that we've identified as being important to a whole system design. And many of you are working on all those elements. So we don't feel like we have any one answer to any of the specific elements or sectors, whether energy or infrastructure or the arts or economics or education. Our gift into the space is some process and structure, infrastructure and process and vision of how we can all come together in this fractal organism. And it's very important. I'll just name one important key is making agreements with each other and getting super clarity when you come together of who's doing what, who is stewarding what, who is making decisions about what. So it's not about ownership or control, but it is about massive coordination, because none of us want to keep building the same things or having 20 of us building the same innovations anymore. And it's not easy. We all have to be compassionate with ourselves. I think what we're all up to here is the greatest story, the greatest game that's ever happened in the history as we know it. I know there's other histories. I'm well aware of information I don't know about. But as far as the information I do know about, you know, what we're up to is really ambitious, all of us. So we have to be kind to each other and prototype and experiment. So I have some PDFs I can share, you know, through the network here if some of you would like to see some of these elements that we have laid out, you know, in the different sectors. And we're just finishing some design, and we want to release a sort of version 1.0 operating manual, you know, that lays out the structure and some of the process. And then we want to co-create that with all the people like yourselves. And we want to give birth to that, our creative baby, because it's still inside the I use the metaphor, inside the womb. So it needs to come out and become a child that the village can raise together as our gift into the space. And we're getting closer to that. The last thing I will share is my personal piece, or my role is something I call spiritual philanthropy, which is my dream for a rebirth and a renaissance for philanthropy, and really holding space for going beyond even transactions and exchanges, in that we have so much cooperation and sharing and abundance. We don't really even need to exchange things. We just share our currency, right? Our currencies through technology, through community. We share our currency. And those are all the wealth that is flowing through the system, like Chinese medicine we use a lot of qi. All that value is inherent. Everyone has value for us. Everything is valuable that we perceive. So my dream is this idea of a rebirth of philanthropy, like next level. And I called it spiritual philanthropy, not because of woo-woo, because it meant investing in consciousness. And that we all have many different gifts in a gift economy, gift paradigm. And I love to create relationships and tell stories. And I've been in service to our project through technology and architecture, but I really want to make movies and make music and do this philanthropy and the innovation. So my biggest dream, if anyone here wants to help us and me and vice versa, is really getting some conscious film producers to understand that we can take a $500 million film budget and build a city or two of light and create an actually entertaining film. But it's regenerative filmmaking. We don't leave behind anything but beauty. So that's my dream, as well as part of what we do. And I'm really happy to be here. I didn't know 75 people were going to be on this call. This is amazing to be with you all. And thank you so much for listening. I'm just trying to transmit some of my excitement compared to the details, which are very complicated sometimes. So thank you.
Wow, man. Thank you. That's beyond words.